Aloha, all of my crazy cretins out there. How are we doing today? It is a great day to be great. This is the Shutter Saga Podcast. I'm your host, Marvin Blue. With me always is a wonderful guest. But before we get started, this is a listener-supported, fan-supported podcast given to you absolutely free of charge. And the reason we're able to do that to you is because of you awesome fans. A couple ways to support the show, as always, is to like, listen, share, hit that bell notification when we drop new episodes, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on it. And if we're not on it, let me know and I'll get there soon. Also, this show is given to you absolutely free of charge because of our wonderful sponsors. As always, my OG sponsors, the boys, the crew at Cheetah Stands, cheetahstands.com. Guys, I told you all the time, if you're going to have these expensive lights and you're going to, up your lighting game, you need to have the stands that's going to back up your equipment and protect your gear. Cheetah Stands. Go to cheetahstands.com/Shutter Saga Podcast. Get 10% off your first order. If you hate it, they will, do right by you. But trust me, once you get one stand, you're going to want to buy more. And the real thing you're going to say to yourself is, why didn't I buy these things sooner? Also, we're giving to another sponsor of the show, 17 Hats. Guys, it's all about running a business. We love being behind the camera. We love creating art, but also this thing is a business and we got to continue to run it like a business so we can continue doing what we love doing. Let 17 Hats take away all the heavy lifting for you. Automate yourself. Put yourself in a legitimate space to be a business owner. 17hats.com. I will have the promo code in the show notes to get you 50% off your first year. So go to 17hats.com, check out a free trial, and use the promo code to save yourself some money. Last but not least, we are also sponsored by Fundy. Go to fundy.com. You guys know Andrew. He's a friend of the show. In fact, I'm representing him today, Hustler. He got a bunch of shirts out there for his wife and everything. So we send our love and thoughts out to her. She's putting on a good fight right now. So don't want to go into too many details, but go to funny.com if you want to sell wall art to your clients, if you want to design and curate your work to go on people's walls so you can continue to make that money that we love to do and display your work. Fundy is where it's at. So go to fundy.com, check out all the different features they have, the apps, everything, you name it, and they will take care of you. That's all we got this week for sponsors. My guest this week, man, I had to go down to, I had to go to the capital of the greatest country inside the greatest country. So, that means I went to Austin, Texas. I had to reach out. I threw up the bat signal. And of course, we had to get the amazing, the talented Felicia Reed on the show. Felicia, welcome to the show. How we doing?
Woo woo. Doing good. Doing good. Happy to be here.
We were discussing this and I was saying, people are going to have to realize we in person, we've only been around each other like twice. But over the years, we've known each other. And it's like when you're Texas, it's like if you're Texas, it's all that matters. And I was like, we're going to go hard because, Texas photography. But you are an Austin native. Heartland, I'm in the heartland of the heart of Texas, being in North Texas, and you're in the capital. So why Austin? I got to ask that first and foremost.
Well, it's close. I wanted to get away. I was actually up there I went to University of North Texas when I graduated high school in 94. But I didn't want to go far away from home because I'm the first one to go to college. So I was like, I'll go. But then, stuff happened. My mom passed away when I was 18. And so I was like, I didn't want to go back to the small town because I'm just like 40 minutes outside of Austin. And so Austin was just easier. I was close to family. There was more opportunities here for me to go to school, to find a job than it is in a small town. And then I met the love of my life. Yeah. So we're here. Nice. 28 years later.
So Austin, we call Austin home. You raised your boys there and everything. But what is it about Austin that you just, besides being close to your hometown, but, because Austin, it gets a hold of you and it's like, they don't let go. So what is it about? How did Austin get a hold of you and not let you go?
I think that the diversity here in Austin, the activity, like it's pretty like active area. There's just so much to do. Music, I think they call us the music capital. Aren't we the music capital? There's a lot of music here.
Yes.
And a lot of concerts and stuff. And the food, like diversity in food. Now, if I didn't live here, I probably wouldn't choose like Austin to come to because there's other places that has really, really great food, but we have really good barbecue. That's about it. I can't say there is nothing else here. I wouldn't say to come to Austin. Y'all stay where y'all at. We got enough traffic.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, okay, low key, the food scene is amazing. I was like, what is she talking about? The food scene is amazing. But we're not gonna tell everybody that because we want to keep Austin weird and we want to keep it thinned out. So
because it's weird and it's casual and it's laid back, but you can kind of be fancy. I feel if I lived in Dallas or Houston, being in Texas, that I had to be on all the time, on with my wardrobe. I am just me. I could just be me and I'm just accepted. There is no like crazy high society where I have to be on all the time. And that's my bias, I think, that I have for Houston and Dallas. Like, you got to be up there and on
Yeah.
and in like all the things. And
Well, I
I'm
would
just
say
chill.
there's the elitists, and then there's the Texas elitists, and I'm what you call the Texas. Like, my elite is, it isn't the Mercedes, it isn't the Gucci, it's the big trucks, it's the
Yeah.
big belt buckles, it's the boots, it's the guns. That's my life. I'm casual that way. I shop at HEB. I'm just a normal
We love you,
normal country.
HEB. HEB
Exactly.
needs to sponsor us.
Yeah, exactly. That's the real sponsor. As much money as I drop to them, I need to go ahead and get some HEB stock or something, man. Anyways, so
HEB, by the way, for those that don't know, is our local grocery store
yes,
that just ride or die. When we went through no electricity, snowmageddon, pandemic, they
yeah. I'll
always
say
there.
there's two things that Texas that that are staples of Texas: HEB and Bucky's.
HEB and Bucky's.
Yep. And then of course your local gun stores, because why not? Because and I it's like, do you love guns? I don't love guns, but I just don't know why. Just when you're in Texas, it's like you get
You can't
certain
live
things
without them.
and you got to get a gun. I don't know why, but we get them anyways because
Wild Wild West.
I'm either gonna shoot my camera or shoot my gun, so something's getting shot.
Okay.
Nah,
I just feel
so let's transition. Let's talk about the journey that's made Felicia Reed. Felicia Reed. Let's go all the way back. When did you get into this crazy thing called photography?
I got into photography. So I have two boys. One, my oldest is 27, the other one's 21. And so I got into it on my second child because I was in school full time. I went to x-ray school and ultrasound school. I was full time with my first child. So I missed out on the first 5 years of his life. So I had my second child and I graduated ultrasound school and I had my second child. And that's whenever I was like, oh my God, I've missed all these years on the first one. I want to be the best mom. I want to be able to capture them in photos and all the things. I learned to sew and bake cakes. And I just wanted to be like the best mom. So that's kind of how I picked up the camera. It started with the kids. That was 21 years ago.
Nice. And then when did it like start? I guess when did you have your aha moment that this is a for real thing, that you went beyond the mom with the camera to actually like becoming like a mainstay to like, and we'll dive into your career in a moment, but like I want to
Yeah.
talk about the early days.
So again, I was a mom with camera and that was just about it. I knew nothing about manual. I knew nothing about nothing. I was just taking pictures. There was film. I knew nothing. I was not even an expert then. I was a mom with camera. 2009, I was at my 10-year anniversary. We celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And the photographer, you see a photographer with a camera and I see him with a
Oh yeah.
camera and I'm like, oh, I got a camera. And he's like, oh, really?
Are you one of those?
Are you one of those? I was one of those. And he's like, I'm transitioning from Canon to Nikon, and would you like to buy this camera? And I didn't understand that they came in different parts. It wasn't like, where's the lens? I was
Yeah.
like, he's like, I'll sell you this camera for $750. And I was like, that was 2009. I was like, $750? Okay. And he goes, but I'll show you how to use it. And so that was in 2009. So it took me probably 2009 to 2012, just taking classes on and off locally on how to really use it. And I was taking things through meetup.com. So I just went on meetup.com and I would find things at night, shoot the moon, shoot the car, shoot the flowers, shoot a model, whatever. I just wanted to, that was my hobby. And it was a point, it was late, probably 2012. And we were photographing a lot of young Caucasian girls, very thin. And there was something that clicked. I was in my late 30s at the time, and I would have my portfolio, and that's what it looked like. And I was like, but there's nobody that looks like me. There's nobody my age. Like, can you even photograph me this way? And it was just kind of like, I don't like this anymore. And why are we only photographing young? And is this the way you view beauty? And I think I voiced it out loud because I'm very, I don't shy away from what I think. It just comes out.
I don't take you as a soft spoken type over the years I've known you.
And one of the guys who were in the group, he was like, well, you'll probably like Sue Bryce, and this photographer, and she photographs, these things, these women and over 30 and da 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 da. So he gave me a YouTube and I went onto YouTube and I just binged all of it. Like I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Still, I didn't see a lot of people that look like me, but I could work with that.
But it was a start, yeah.
It was a starting point. So I can kind of work with that. So that's kind of how about 2012, 13 is when I really, really got into it. And from 2013, I was working full time. To me, full time was 32 hours. So I was off on the weekends. I worked at Scott and White. Y'all have a Baylor Scott and White up there.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Scott and White here in Round Rock. And I would be off on the weekends unless I was on call. And I just photograph my neighbors, or I'd bring some of the nurses here, or or whatever. And I just play around until about 2016. I was 40. I was turning 40 and I decided to quit my job. And it wasn't to do photography, to be honest. It was to stay at home with my crazy 8th grader son that was never going to school. And I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. That's what was supposed to happen because I was an ultrasound tech, so I can get a job anywhere. I would take call at night for those local pop-up ERs, and during the day I'd network or do some photography while he was in school. And that's kind of how I quit my job, not because I saw that photography was a thing. I was blessed in a way that my husband's income replaced my income, and he made both enough for both of us, and I was supposed to stay at home and take care of this wild child. But that didn't go
And
very well.
you didn't quite stay at home as much as everyone thought you should have.
You know what happened? Because my husband was like, you need to stop what you spending. You need to watch your money. And I was like, you better watch it. Who you talking to? I was like, no way that I'm going to sit here.
Money.
I've always made money and I could not ever fathom. I've always had a job. And I couldn't fathom to be put on a strict budget or to have a man tell me what to do, even though it's my husband. And I was like, this ain't working out well. So I had nothing to lose and all to gain. And I had already had the resources. I knew how to charge. I saw the evidence in the groups, the different photography groups, that you can make a lot of money. I got myself a mentor. I put my pricing up there. I think I started at $1,200 back in the day, $1,200, $1,900, $2,400. And I got my first client that was a male, a guy. It was one of the OBGYN's husbands. And I was like, can I photograph you? That'll be $1,200. And he's like, okay. And then I was like, okay.
We're off to the races. So early days, you said you went and got a mentor. Who was the one that put a lot of that knowledge in your ear in the early days?
So in the earlier part of the days when I first quit, it was Megan DePiro with Rise to the Top. She was really good. She was at another level. And I had went down to, I think in 2016, it was before she had Level Up. And there was a hurricane. I flew down there and stayed for like 3 or 4 days. And it literally, she wasn't even in her house. The hurricane came through and she's like, I don't care. We're still doing this class. We were in a hotel.
Nice.
The power lines were down. Barely. I mean, that's how serious and committed she is and how committed we are.
I said you gotta have a level of crazy when you're chasing this photography thing. Like, I mean, I can't remember how many cities, like just the things like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot. When I was living in Arizona, hey, how far are you from LA? 2.5 hours. All right, so we're doing a photo shoot later today. Can you make it? I'm like, give me a second, baby. I'm going to LA, and it was like the most non way of like telling your wife you're going to another city and you're going to be gone all day, and she's just like, was it for photography? Yep, okay. And it was just like, luckily I had a wife that rode with that versus like, babe, I'm going to the game tonight. No, you're not. You need to be at home. You need to mow the lawn. This needs to be done. Dishes need to be done. But as soon as I said photography, it was like, yeah, go ahead and go pursue it because
so much support. That's
awesome. But you got to have that level of crazy because it's like sometimes it's not going to be available to you, so you got to be willing to go there to it.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I went down there and I learned how to price myself, how to do phone consultations, just like to level up, literally like level up my business. So I had nothing to lose and all to gain.
Nice. So now when I look at you, like obviously my bread and butter is weddings and portraits, and then your bread and butter is portraits and more boudoir. I mean, I've seen everything from you, but like you are an in studio. Like I view you as an in studio portraiture artist. That's the best way to describe you. If I was to just give you the 10-second spiel, like how would you view her work? In studio portrait artist. What do you consider your genre of choice if you had a?
Yeah, if I had a choice, my genre would be the 40 plus demographic, 40, 50, 60, those women, because they are me and I am my ideal client. And I transitioned, like I was 40 when I quit my job and I switched over. I was a mom, I was a wife, I was going through body image issues. I didn't look like I was when I was 30. I felt lost. Like, who is Felicia? I know who the mom Felicia is. I know who the wife Felicia is. I know who the working, but who am I really? And I had kids so young, I didn't have that time to explore who I really was. And so photography was an outlet for me. And I knew if I felt this way about myself as a mother, like my target demographic was the mom and the grandmother, so I was like, I didn't have my mom. I didn't, she passed away. So I would live vicariously through women and their mothers and their legacies, because I was like, oh my God, I know how important this is. I know what it is to lose that. I want to capture this for you. And so I would say that's my demographic. That sweet spot is 40 to 50. And again, it's portraits. I do empowerment portraits. I look at myself as an empowerment coach for these women, because that's why I do the big, galas and everything to celebrate the women. I do boudoir. I do, because they can mix it all: personal branding, beauty, intimate portraits, and the men. Well, boudoir, beauty, maternity. I do some maternity, not a lot. I would love more maternity, but I don't do as much maternity as you think I do. But I love maternity. But I think because I'm always talking to those that are already past their eggs is gone.
Well, no, but I mean, like, I think the first time, like, obviously this past summer we did vocal summit together, and your model was a maternity model,
That's
and
for that. I was
we got to tap into that, and I was just like, oh, and it was like, because I'm used to the go outside, great area, all right, like, composition pose, like the typical thing, which again, nothing wrong with that. But then it was like, oh, this is my challenge. I don't shoot in the studio enough times, but I can take what I'm learning and doing in the studio and take that outside. So for me, it was just getting to see a different level of posing and tapping into creativity that we didn't get to see. And it's like, oh, getting to just sit back and watch you do it. I was like, oh, this is when we talking about the levels of, like, okay, I do a nice maternity portrait. Most of my brides, they go on to get married, they have babies. That's usually how I got tied into that. I said, but now I'm seeing that there's, like, when you get to see someone that's doing it at a higher level, more than you do, it was able to pick the brain and see you in action. It was like, that to me was like totally worth. I always tell Andre, dude, I said, just the worth of the price of admission when you get to really sit down and dive into people that are really masters of their craft, and just, yeah, with your portraiture, your posing. When did you start bringing all that together?
I would say the posing, it took me a while. Again, what are we talking, like 2012 to about 2012, 13, 14, 15. It took me about 3 to 4 years to really, really get it down and comfortably and confidently. And again, I started with still younger people. My neighbors, they were still, in their 20s or 30s or whatever. But I mean, I feel I really got it down after I quit my job, because we're dealing with real people and real bodies. And it's not about, I had to learn, it's not about making someone look skinny, right? I think that's where a lot of photographers, maybe they will struggle when it comes to posing, because when I go online and I see all the photographers, they all appear to have like these skinny, perfect women. And for me, it's just about making someone look the very best version of who they are. It's not about minimizing. I mean, we can with posing and stuff, but you don't have to, I don't have to warp people's body down. I just have to make them look like the best version of them.
Absolutely.
And by the time these women have gotten to me, they've accepted this is who they are. They just want to stand in their full power. Like, this is who I am. Just make me look good, you know? And so that took a while. That to photograph real bodies took a while. It took me a good while. I would say confidently it might have been till 2018. To really, because
Yeah.
again, when we're going to these conferences and things, they're like those, they don't look like our everyday bodies that you would see for your mom and your aunts or your cousins, or you know what I mean. They are strategically like putting up models, which I kind of get it. You want the models to be able to model people to get their photos quick, but it's not what reality is. Especially if you want to get paid big money, it's not going to be the models. It's going to be you making your mama look her very best, or making a
Absolutely.
woman that has not felt that confident or felt sexy about herself in so many years, but you have that power just to create this incredible experience and make her look like so magnificent just as she is, with any
And I
perceived flaw she
and I've
has.
always been a firm believer, it doesn't matter, like, you can get the perfect size person, but if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to light them, if you don't know how to
Mhm.
pose them, if you don't know
Yeah,
how to interact with them, you're
yeah,
not going to you're not going to be able to do, what the next person's able to do, that has the skill set, that's put the hours um and the legwork in to get that. So I mean, for me, I always say it's a master class, because I think you're intentional when I was telling anybody, I said, if you take a class with Felicia, you're going to learn how to pose. And I said, because she's not going to get the trained model that's a size 2, that's 10 years seasoned and knows how to do everything for you. She literally gets people that they're not going to do anything. She's going to direct and show them. And again, it isn't about making them look skinny, it's about making them look beautiful, making them look amazing.
yes,
And I think that's what, at some point, even when you're working with a model and you're like, wow, like, I walk away feeling better, because it's like, man, I walked away a better photographer just because the experience alone, just getting to hear like how you interact, how you get them to say that, and they translate that into in front of my clients. Now I'm doing their wedding. They're like, it was so seamless. You made it so easy. You were so quick. You had all your poses locked in. You were it was like, wow, and it's like, this is your way that you're supposed to feel that way. The fact that I can reinforce that makes it even better. And then it equates to making money.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
so let me ask you, during this entire time, because I mean, 20 plus years, how obviously we got different areas and we haven't even started talking about the education part of your career yet, but how have you kept the motivation at the levels that it's been, because there's always those ebbs and flows and the ups and downs, and especially like you're in long enough to go through the highs and lows of this industry, whether it's film to digital to shoot and burn back to sales, back to going back to film, AI, all the things that we go through now. For those of us that have put the years in, how have you been able to stay motivated and kind of stay ahead of all that?
That's a good question. So whenever I really think about it, I don't think about what the industry goes through. I didn't
Mhm.
know. I didn't. I'm hearing it from you. I did not know that was an issue because I just don't pay attention to those issues. I feel that whenever I have a strong purpose on why I am designed, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I have a very strong why and a strong purpose. Why I'm doing what I'm doing, and so for me, I don't want to depend on my husband. And for me, being a married woman, like anything could happen to a spouse. So in my mind, I always want to operate as if, like it's just me. That's just how I am. Maybe it's a Capricorn in me. I don't know. But that's how I always operate. And so there's just no way that I'm gonna lose. There's just no way. There's no way that I'm gonna go back and get a job and work in that hospital. I let my license go in 2020. I was like,
You
we're
so
not doing
so
this.
you burned the ships basically, or
I
well,
burned
yeah.
the ships and I was like, we out. Like this is how it's gonna be. And so to honestly to stay motivated is always mindset thing is a big thing. To know my why and the purpose on why I'm doing this. And also what's kept me motivated in general is just like I have the best clientele. I have added so much value into my services that I mean, it's just something I don't even do paid ads or anything. It's all referrals. So I know that I'm totally in alignment and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And whenever we had a pandemic, I was thriving. I had cancer. I was thriving. I don't know. Allegedly, there's a recession. It's none of my business. Money is still flowing somewhere. It's going to flow into my bank account. It's all a mindset thing. And it's how I have just decided that I am going to succeed no matter what. It's just a decision internally that I've made. And then I put the actions into play.
Nice. I mean, this is a great segue because I mean, I want to go into the educator now that I want to speak
Mhm.
about. I always like to ask, like, we get with every year coming in, we get a whole new crop of photographers, a whole new generation that's here to learn, young and old, everything in between. What are your like initial tips for those new ones grabbing the camera finally that took the leap during Christmas during 2024 and bought the camera, and now they're in 2025 going, oh crap, I think I'm in over my head because now they're hitting that 90-day. The honeymoon phase is over. 90 days has passed. We're now in month 3 of 2025. What do you say to those people now? Like, giving them those
Keep
initial tips on how to do.
keep going, keep trying different things. Consume as much education as you can because I did weddings, I did babies, I did events, I did all the things. I hated it. I didn't know what I would hate until I did it. And
Mhm.
to me, I didn't give up because I just allowed myself to experience different things. And then I had find community, find other people. What are they doing? And who can you latch onto? And of course, it is going to be survival of the fittest at the end of the day. I mean, if it's something that you desire, I had no idea when I went into this that it was going to be my life or my career. I thought it was just a hobby. I had no idea. Even when I had mentor that said I was going to make money, I still didn't say I'm going to quit to be a photographer. It just kind of happened that way, and I placed myself in rooms and in places where people were making money, and I saw their stories, their struggles, and I was like, okay, this is normal. This is a struggle, but also I saw the wins. This is it's going to happen. This person's been doing it for a while. So to me, it's like it's only 3 months. What and what? Keep your day job. Keep practicing. Go find another mentor. Come to the conferences. See what you like. Something will click.
Yeah, especially with the conferences. I know the because we're now technically in conference seasons. I always call this is our conference season. I always say conference starts with imaging, then you go to sync, then you go to WPPI, then the Shutterfest, then it's ClickCons, and then everything. Then your general PPA local stuff. But you know there are opportunities. There are opportunities to learn. There are opportunities to grow. There are opportunities to network. There are opportunities to build your inner circle of badass photographers that are going to coach you on business. technique, gear, you name it. It's like you can find your tribe of geeks to just like, to surround yourself and feel a part of something, because we all know at your day, whether you're at a day job or just, you're in a mom group or a dad group or whatever, or a gym group, they're not going to love photography the way you do. So you're talking a language that they can't speak. Now we talk about going to the networks or networking, going to the conferences, etc. Now we talk about education. When did you start putting on the educator hat? And because that's originally how I met you, was through the education space. So when did that start for you, and what was that moment where you say, you know what, I want to teach this? Because I mean, my motivation with education is I just want to delete all of the terrible educators that are out there, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are their sole purpose is to make money off the industry, but you can't teach me to be a wedding photographer when you haven't shot a wedding in 4 years.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
call that what it is. It's almost like the guy that, I was a 1998 All-Star. Yeah,
That's
you're not in
different.
the league anymore. The game changed.
Different.
You had a one good season, like, bro. We need more. So I always say I respect the working photographers, but and when you take on the education space, you take on a lot of responsibility. So what got you there, and how have you navigated the that part?
How I became an educator is a funny story. I mean, I don't know if it's funny. You probably could. I mean, it's probably just, it happened naturally. In 2020, what was happening was I decided not to go down the rabbit hole of doom and destruction. The world's coming to an end. And I brought the light. So I was just in the groups, all the photography groups, just encouraging people. I was booked out 7 months in advance. I don't know, we're in the middle of pandemic, but people's like, when we open up, I'm coming to you. And so I start mentoring on how it's showing up on social media, just online. I posted some little thing like, oh, you want me to teach you how to talk about yourself on social media, whatever. And then it was late 2020. And I think one of Sue Bryce's, I forgot, Nikki, she called me and she was like, Felicia, do you want to be a mentor? I see how much value you're adding to our group. And we really appreciate that. And I was like, sure. And then so they made me the mentor in the group. And it was because I was already sharing. It wasn't that they wanted me in there just because I'm Felicia. It was because I was adding a lot of value to their education. And I was the biggest testimony. Like, you could go through those groups and you could see all the hardships that I had, but you could see all the wins. And I particularly wanted to share numbers because I was like, this is my job. I'm not here as no artist. I'm here as, am I making money? Like, you know what I mean? And is this real? Because I wanted to see that it was real. And I saw that other people were posting it was real, but they weren't people that looked like me. I'd never to this day have seen, maybe Hadonica now, but I have never really seen, and I think I was the one leading into a person of color sharing high numbers like I was making. Like, who is making 6 figures or more? Who is bringing in $10,000 sales that look like me? I didn't see that. And so I was doing that. And so that is my big why. It's like, I wanted to, maybe they are, but they didn't share. But I wanted to be the role model to those, especially people of color that were, out there wondering, is this real? Or are we just seeing just like, Caucasian people making the money? And can a Black woman, make this kind of money? And so it was really cool that they put me there and that Sue Bryce believed in me, that I can actually mentor. And so it just kind of started that way. And that was 2020. Then we go into 2021, and then I was diagnosed with cancer. And I decided in 2022, I started chemo, and I was like, I don't know what my life is going to look like. I started building my studio, and I was like, well, I'm going to take all this information and I put it into a course called Making Money Moves. And I would just sit there and create this course online while I was in the chemo chair. And that's where I start talking about mindset and stuff. And the key was like, we have all the educators teaching us what to sell, how to shoot, how to light, how to do this. I watched people from what did I say, 2012 up until now. We started the same level, and then I skyrocketed. What is the difference when we had the same mentor? What was the difference?
I think
It
the
was
doing,
mindset.
action. Yeah, action, mindset.
It was action, but some of them were doing the same action, but there was a mindset aspect to it. And that's what I realized our industry lacked. It's like, we go to all these conferences, nobody teaches you about mindset. You can charge all these numbers and they can tell you what to do, but if you have some inside blockness or you're stuck, or some inner beliefs that are keeping you stuck that could have been passed down from generations, like, you're not going to make it in this industry. In a job, you're not going to ask for the raise. You're not going to ask for anything because you don't think you're worthy. And like, so to me, I got certified as a mindset coach in 2021. I got my first certification. And then this past summer, I became a master, certified mindset coach and hypnotherapist. And I just use all of those tools. I use them on me. I was my first testimony because I went through cancer, made $376,000, working part-time, building a studio, having 4 surgeries. You see what I'm saying? Like most people would have shut it down. It takes a different kind of caliber of person to go through that with a smile and
I'm right
still
there
show.
with you. No, and I love it. I think you're tapping into something that doesn't get talked about enough, which is mindset. How do you, Marvin, how do you walk into these rooms, or how do you do these wedding shows, or these, bridal expos, or these open houses at the
Confidence.
venues? And it's like I said, because I put in the work, and I know I belong there. And like I say, you see the photo shoot, you see the conference, you see what we do there, but people forget about the days where I was driving Uber to make extra money so I can go for that conference, so I can buy that new lens. So, when I was a high school teacher and I only made this much money, that's all the money I was going to make. And I had a principal telling me, you need to sign the contract for next year because you're not going to get any more money than what we're offering you. And in my head, I'm thinking like, wait a minute, I've got this many weddings scheduled. Simple math here. I'm going to make more than I'm making as a teacher. No, I think I'm good. And you take those leaps, and yeah, if you fall down flat, guess what? You have mindset to get back up. And I always say, the people that fail the most fail 100 times, get up 101 time. That's when it comes together. So yeah, mindset doesn't get talked about or appreciated enough. And I love
Yeah.
this conversation. I love hearing that
Yeah.
about that. So
Yeah.
let's dive in some more.
What you want to know? What you want to know?
No, okay. So, like, I mean, with the industry being the way it is, and I mean, and I know the numbers, and it's like, we say this with Portugal because, like, I know personally you are running numbers and performing at a volume, performing at a volume that some wedding photographers aren't even performing at. So, how is it that growth, or when we talk about mindset, how do you tell people to overcome and ask for that to go from the $500 a portrait to $5,000? Or, and I know it doesn't happen
Yeah.
overnight. I mean, I'm very aware of that.
Yeah.
But let's start. How do you get that person to go from 500 to five? Even tell them, hey, go up $50, go up $60, and they're like, I can't.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
it's
gonna lose my
multiple.
audience.
It's multiple things. Like for me, for example, from my personal story, it was being in the groups and having a mentor, finding a mentor that's going to say, this is possible. This is what I've done. I mean, having evidence, it's been done before. Why are you not worthy of doing it? And if they're not doing it, then there's a worthy issue. Because if they see the evidence and they hear me say it, they hear another mentor say it, they see other educators say it, but they're not doing it, there's a worthy issue. And so then they have to get coaching, whether they go through therapy, whether they get a private, mindset coach, someone to help them work through, like, why don't you want to charge? And you do, because there's got to be some conflicting blocks or something there, and they have to work through it. I personally, when I was introduced to real coaching, I mean, like, I always had photography coaches, but when I really was introduced to coaching, it was in 2019, the summer of 2019. I've been married already like 23 years, I think, around that time, or maybe 20 something years. I don't know. And I was very sad. I was very sad in my marriage. And I'm very transparent. I talk about this all the time. And I was like, honey, I'm sad. Why you don't make me happy? He's like, I can't make you happy. I don't know what's wrong with you. And at the time that I was sad, nobody was paying my invoices. People were ghosting me. My business was plummeting. And I was talking to a friend, and she was a friend. She wasn't my love coach, but she's a love coach, a relationship coach, and she's a friend. And you can tell energy when you walk into a room, when you talk to someone, you could just tell without even seeing them. She was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Nothing." And she's like, and then I just was like, "Oh, my husband." Da, da, da. She goes, "It ain't your husband. Your sadness is something that he can't even touch. It's something that's inside, and you need to work through this sadness. And when you work through the sadness, your business will change." So I ended up hiring her. I was like, "How much is it going to cost?" She was like, at the time, it was like $4,500 for 12 weeks. That was cheap. Now she's like $30,000.
Yeah.
What? But so I paid her, and she was like, when you shift yourself, the clients that you attract will shift. The way your husband interacts with you will shift. You will work on yourself and your sadness go away. That's going to shift. Your money in your bank account is going to shift for the greater good. And I did it. I did the work. It was hard. It's like, because I had to work on me. I wanted to blame. I wanted to be a victim. I wanted to blame everybody outside of me. It's terrible people that don't want to pay me. People don't want to pay me. People are leaving me. People are not, doing this and this. It was all this. If y'all say this is victim mentality. If it's something outside of you that is responsible for, it's most likely victim mentality, unless like someone
Right.
physically
No,
does you.
they're not getting married anymore these days. I'm like, and I always say, dude, we had 14,000 weddings just in North Texas. We're not talking about the state of Texas. We're talking about North Texas, DFW area,
Yes,
14,000 weddings. If I can't find my 25 weddings out of that, then I'm doing something wrong. And again, it's
yes,
you, and you gotta. It's like I look at it like dating, in a way. When I talk about booking clients, I've always said, some dates are not going to be home runs. Some dates are gonna be just a single. Some dates are gonna be a double. Some dates might be home runs. But there are gonna be some dates where you're gonna get hit. You're gonna be some at bats. You're gonna get hit with the ball. And it's gonna be like not every date's gonna be a great date. Not every client or anyone that comes across your page, they're not gonna be your clients. And sometimes you dodge the bullet. I mean, think about it. Like I said with dating, that one girl you went on a terrible date with, and you're like, oh God, I'm so glad. It was terrible. I don't like her. She doesn't like me. And then 6 months later, you see her smashing a dude's car, and you're just like, I dodged a bullet. And I think about those crazy brides that like, man, bookings are low, but this the only
Yeah.
one that's this
Yeah.
the only one I'm going to get in July. But then you realize like it's hot as hell in July. She says I'm too expensive. She's this, she's that, and then but you somehow track her in the group with her, and then July wedding passes. You didn't shoot it, but then you see in August she's burying everybody that was part of her wedding. She's 1-star reviewing. She's trying to go viral.
Yeah.
The sepia bride mentality, as I call it. So again, take everything with a grain of salt and look at everything as a blessing and not necessarily a curse. Sometimes the stuff that you think you want, you don't really want. And but when when we talk about changing mindsets and everything, I love going. Oh man, I'm so glad we had this conversation. Like, what are your first someone's coming in new, like what are 3 things I can do right now to start changing my mindset or start getting on that pathway to bettering myself? What are the 3 things that you like? 3 tips that you give them. What are Felicia's top 3?
3 tips. Oh, well, the first thing that we start with always is creating achievable outcomes. Like, what do they want specifically? What do they want? Like, you have to be specific. What do you want? Why do you want it? Why is it? How is it for the greater good? So we kind of talk about that, and they have to be specific with numbers, especially when it comes to money. What specific numbers? And we then I walk them through all of the things. What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you see? And I try to help them make it realistic. And the other thing is like, what is their bigger purpose? Why do they want to make money? Is it for the sake of making money? But there's something that is for the greater good. Like for me, I want to make money because I want to show more black and brown, show more black and brown women or men or people of color that it is possible for you to make 6 figures and live a happy life, that money can come to you easily. I want to retire my husband. You know what I mean? I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be able to use God to use me to give more and more and more to other people, especially for me being the only one to graduate high school, the oldest of 7, the only one to graduate high school, only one to go to college. I want to be an example for my nieces. So how is it for your greater good? And then we kind of work on the identity, like literally, who is this person that actually shows up and does the work? It may not be you right now, but this version of you, if you can talk to the future version of Felicia in December of 2025, what is she doing? Talk to her, or you want to talk to, whoever, talk to you in the future version of you and ask them, what did you do? Because intuitively, we already know what we should be doing, and then we have to do it, and we have to act like it is right now. So you may not have the money, might not have the car, you might not have the house, but there's other things that you could be doing. You can show up networking. That person shows up and that person networks. That person shows up consistently online and posts, even though they stutter. You should have seen my videos today. My goal is to show up online. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, until it's consistently, or that
It becomes
person.
seamless. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Like, there's so much I said, like, I want to post every day and I don't do it. It's like the things I don't do enough of. I'm breaking those habits of like, okay, well, I'm going to take one day to plan and do this and do that. But again, you got to start with one. And I always say, like, again, over a year ago, 5 years ago, something, man, I want to do a podcast. I want to do this. And then I kept procrastinating and finally just said, I'm going to do it. If it's bad, it's bad. It is what it is. But
You
day
just
one
showed up.
versus, it's like I'd rather be at the day one versus the one day. And I say, everything starts with the day one, not a one day. So we can all dream about having it one day, or we can just say, you know what, get on the day one to get you there. Because when you look at it a year later, you're not the same. Just like what is our growth in photography. I still look at those old engagement pictures when I was
Mm-hmm.
sepia tone and color selection, and I was just like, oh my god, it was so cringy. And then you
All black
fast
and white
forward.
with that one red rose.
Exactly. Absolutely. The maternity picture where she's all black, but her lips are red. You know, and or the faded color hands on the black and white belly.
We didn't know better. We didn't know no.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like the ruffled. It's like the
But it was beautiful to them.
for
But it
them,
was
yes. But
beautiful.
but looking back, I was like, oh, but it was like that wasn't timeless. That was a moment. That was the f- the f- the fad at the time, or whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just, oh my gosh. But then it's like you fast forward and then you get to where you're at and you become this house, you know, you become where you're getting to where you're at, where people see you in on today's date. But not realizing what I'm thinking about is where I'm going to be at in the next 5 years, where I'm going to be at the next 30. Like I was where I'm at today. I was chasing that 5 years ago, and now I'm
Yeah.
chasing the person
Yeah.
that was being 5 years. So when one day when I'm sitting on the main stage doing a round table or doing, a panel or teaching or something, they say, when did you, know you were going to get here? I was like, man, I was chasing this 5 years ago. And it's like, and then so on and so forth. And, how do you shoot at a high level? I've been thinking about, the realization of that I'm 42 and I'm still shooting weddings at a high level. Can I do it when I'm 50 and 55? Well, what do I need to do when I'm 50 and 55? I need to get in shape. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to eat better. I need to make sure that my wife is, is healthy and everything, that the kids are right, so I can still shoot at a high level. So they're not saying, Dad, you're killing yourself and you don't have any more left in you. So, um, you know, but that motivation, I love that, being realistic with yourself and just what you're speaking on with the mindset. That's amazing.
Yes, good stuff. That's what I live by.
All right, so now down the pipeline, I know you got like a ton of like over the years you teach, but you've been a part of some of my favorite conferences. Like, when you transitioned to teaching and it started with Sue Bryce, and then but it's picked up over the years to where you know it's almost like expecting that I'm going to see your name on when every time a conference pops up, it's like I know I'm going to see your name there. So what is it like? What is it you think that what is the Felicia effect, if that makes sense? What is it that like, for the people that don't know who you are, like I like that don't know, they just know the name or they kind of heard of it. What is it about that, you bring into the table that's just like, that's what it is?
Yeah.
Like, because I've experienced it, so I
Yeah.
know it. But like, what is it?
Just transparent. I think it's just the industry just needed something new. And
Mhm.
I was just, honestly, I didn't really start these bigger speaking engagements until 23. Was it
Okay.
23? I went to BobCon and I think it's just being I think it's just that full transparency of how I am and just really the mindset. What I bring to the table is just something new and something different that they normally don't have. And it's so needed. It's just so needed because I was just even talking to Compoli and I was like, you have these beautiful albums. But if you're around all these photographers and nobody's like charging any money, how are you planning on selling? Like, how are any of these companies going to stay in business if we're not like teaching them how to
Just
charge?
sell the
And
art.
if they're
Yeah.
not selling and if they're not charging, they can sell all they want to, but if they're not selling at that high level, how will these companies even stay in business to support us?
And see, like, and going back to that, I remember the first, like, again, I started in the levels of first wedding ever, 500. Well, first wedding was gifted to me by accident. I made over 1,000. But my first, like, I'm booking a wedding, I made $500. Super proud of that. And then it was like, okay, one day I'm going to make 1,000 because in my mind, when I first started, if I could match what I made as a teacher, that was a win.
Yeah.
During that day, you couldn't tell me nothing. Everyone knows the story. I used to say, if I book the wedding, I'm calling, baby, we did it. It's red panty night. We're going to Ruby Tuesdays. We're getting dinner.
Oh,
We're
you
getting
said
steak.
red pen.
It's red panty night, baby. We did it. I'm making $1,100. And looking back at it, it's like at that time it was a lot of money. Now it's like if a bride called me today and said, "Hey, my budget's $1,100. I'm sorry, I can't do that. However, I know these three people that are priced fairly low, but they're still super talented. Give them a call, or whatever." But I remember where my aha moment when it came to making money was I just remember at the time I thought it was like, yo, this is the most money I've ever made away. I was $1,800. I was like, oh my god, I'm so close to making 2,000 for a wedding. I can't wait. I'm think I'm making it. And somebody said to me like, yeah, I sell my portraits for two. I just sold a $2,000 portrait. And I was like, well, how many portraits they get? They get no, just one. They took one picture, they printed it, it got printed on an acrylic, and they sold it to the client for $2,000. And I thought to myself was, I'm going to shoot this wedding for 8 hours. I'm going to do all this work, and this guy took one picture, made more money than me. What am I doing wrong? And it was like I had to figure that out. And I urge people all the time, you got to figure it out. And if you don't know how to figure it out, this is where you got to find a mentor, find somebody to learn from and figure it out. So with that being said, transition to my next thing. How do you tell people to like how to navigate the education space and find those right mentors, because I would say use the conference as a sampler, like,
Yeah.
because it's an opportunity. Like we see each other online, we see each other, the online presence we have, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And then I said, now meet your hero in real life and see if it's someone you gel with. Because for me, if I can't feel comfortable sitting across from you in real life or when it share a meal with you, I'm not giving you my money. I'll find someone else to guide me. And I'll say blunt, if this person's an absolute bitch, I'm gonna find someone else that I can say, because
Yeah.
you're not the only one that made $300,000 a year doing
Yeah.
this shit. who
Yeah.
else can do this shit besides you? Because I want to, I want to throw water on you. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. No, I
so
know
how
what
do you,
you mean.
yeah, so and the thing is, like, I say it so harshly, but the reality is, like, I don't want people to feel like they're been bullied into like learning from. So like, well, this is the only person that did it. No,
No.
that's not the only person that taught it. I know 6 other people that would do it, and they would happily like guide you and
Yeah.
meet up with you at a coffee shop. They're like, dude, buy me some coffee. You can get me for an hour, because I need my
Yeah.
coffee. It's like,
Yeah.
so how do you tell people to navigate those like, what are the potholes, or what is the guidance that you give people when finding that mentor, that next person that's gonna
I
help
would say
guide them?
ask. I mean, if you're in the industry, if you're anywhere around photographers, ask them who I mean, especially if they're successful photographers or they're doing something and you're in that kind of group, it's like, this is what I'm struggling with. Who would be a great mentor to help me with this? Or what would be a great group for me to be in? Because there's a lot of phenomenal groups. Or what would be a great is this conference good for me? Or, is this conference good for me? Because I know some of these big conferences can be overwhelming. I don't think that was the first time I ever went to WPPI. I think when I was first starting, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown trying to go to one of
I
those
did.
big conferences.
10 plus years ago, 2013, the kid knew the business with his Vistaprint business cards, showed up to
Sure.
WPPI,
Boy, look, I'm talking to girls all.
and I felt in over my head, and I was like, day one, I was calling my wife, I'm coming home. This isn't for me.
But you got to find
You
somebody
know.
to, if they do go to these conferences, find a buddy, find somebody to
hmm
go with, someone you could stick with. But I would honestly be transparent. Hey, I really want more one-on-one help. And me, I joined this big mastermind. It's like $2,500 a month, $30,000 mastermind. It's not for photographers. It's just a big one. And it's group. And I realized I just joined it last year in October. And I was like, I am not a group coaching kind of girl. Like I have 50 million questions, but I got to stay on it. So I'm in this group coaching thing till next October. I like one-on-one, but you're not going to know. So there's group coaching, there's one-on-one coaching.
Know
I
your
mean,
style of
everybody's
learning.
a
Yeah.
little bit, find your style on what you
Yeah.
like, and that's what I would say. Because for me, honestly, like I was going back to coaching, I was always in group coaching with photography. And I finally found my one-on-one with my mindset. I mean, my love coach. And then after that, I hired a spiritual healer to get me through cancer. But she was like my energy coach. She helped me with a lot of things
hmm
to help me heal and to still operate a business. So that was more one-on-one. And I was like, well, let me try group coaching. But coaching can range anything from $500 to $50,000. Everybody's different. I look at coaching like it's college for photography. If you didn't go to college, even in photography, if anybody's out there that has gone to business school, college, anything, they don't teach you networking. They don't teach you business. They don't teach you mindset stuff. Because when you get out here in the real world, baby, that's another story. You will get ate up if you don't know how to really do it. So look at investing in yourself as like going to college. To me, I didn't have a business degree. I came from the medical field. I was okay to spend thousands of dollars on coaching because I wanted their knowledge. They already knew. They had been there and done that. I know how to win friends, influence people. I know how to take the notes, and I'm coachable. I'm going to take what they said and I'm going to go do it, because they've already done it. And just knowing that when you're investing in yourself, it's like you're going in college for the streets.
Yes. Now, we meet so many people that they claim to be introverts or whatever, and it's like you're an introvert in probably the most extroverted industry in the world, aside from like aside from professional sports, if you want to be honest with you. But like our job is to engage with people. So how do you tell people to break out of that shell of like stepping out? Going from introvert to being somebody that can have drinks with total strangers and laugh and cry or go deep or just have lighthearted conversation. How did you go from that?
It can be a
How do you
challenge
get
for
into that?
an introvert.
Yeah.
It can be a
Yeah.
challenge for an introvert, but I mean, if they're introvert and they're creatives, there's someone that's going to be attracted to that. You know what I mean? That introverts make the best networkers. They don't talk about themselves. They're really great listeners. And
hmm
I think that will attract people, that they're not going to be over talking their clients. You know what I mean? So introverts will attract the right people. But I feel that any creative that's kind of introverted, they have to have some part that of them, that has to go out and they have to talk to people and they can see people. You know what I mean? Or they wouldn't be in this at all.
hmm
They wouldn't be in there. There's a part of them that's there. And it's just like, I think showing up, teaching them to show up authentically as they are, using their voice. And they may think they're introverted, but they just don't have permission to use their voice or to show up just as they are. They may think they have to fit into some kind of box, or they may have to look this way or act this way. But I think just coaching them through, who is the best version of you? Who are you and what do you want to show? How do you want to show up in this world? You have permission. You have
It's interesting.
permission.
And speaking of permission, how did you give yourself permission to kind of come into your own of where you're at now today? Like, because again, it's all we all
Oh yeah.
started where we're at. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's the curveball question. I told you I was going to come with you
Yeah,
with the
I mean,
question.
that took a minute because honestly, transparent, when you have mentors, like I had Super Ice and I had Megan and I had Steve Saporito, I had so many different mentors in photography. And I was always hard on myself. And it had to happen. It was just something within me that I had to allow myself permission because I was like, this is what they're teaching, but I don't like how they do that.
Mhm.
And so giving yourself permission, you don't always have to, like as a coach, I always tell my clients, I'm your coach. I'm here to guide you. You don't have to do it just like me. I'm here to coach you to bring out the best, most, incredible version of yourself. So I couldn't I couldn't get past, like, I was like, my photos don't look like that. Or I don't like the way that they do that. I don't like the way that they pose. No, I don't like the way that they said that. And I think it was over time when I would be in the groups and I'd be frustrated and they're like, just do it however you want to do it. Just do it however you want to do it. And then I saw people that were doing it that wasn't exactly like they were doing it, even though we were being taught by the same person. So to me, I was like, I have permission. I'm done and I'm tired of this. I'm going to do it the way that I want to. And I'm winning and I'm doing it. I don't, like someone today, one of my coaching clients was like, Felicia, I don't want to go to someone's house all the time and do. I was like, I don't go to people's house and I make like, 500,000 a year. Like, I don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to sell wall art to make my sales increase. I can sell a bunch of digitals, increase the amount, a variety of the photos, increase the amount of wardrobe changes you have, coach them through how they're going to use their photos. You can make $12,000 on digital sales. Who says you have to sell a product? I had to give myself permission, but I had to go through the motion and I had to actually do the thing. I was like, oh, this was easy. I didn't sell any wall art. Who says I have to sell wall art all the time? Who says I have to sell albums? I have them here, but I don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you just have to go through it and you have to be, I wasn't trying. I didn't want to fit in the box. I was like, I like their model, but I don't like the way they do it like this thing.
Mhm.
I don't like that style, but I like the idea. I like the money. I like the price, but I don't like the way they did this, or I don't like,
It's
I
the
don't
dare to
want
be
to do
different.
that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it like that. And I just didn't do it like that, whatever it was. So it's like from each mentor, I took pieces. I knew who I was. And I was like, Felicia likes this. Oh, Felicia can do this. This feels good to me. And I just did it. I just took pieces from each mentor and then I blended it with what I like. And I just made this concoction, like you make some recipe, you make some gumbo,
Mhm.
everybody make it different.
Yep.
Gumbo is gumbo. There's a roux, excuse me. There's a roux, there's a base, but people put different things in it.
Some people
But it's
put
still
sausage, some
gumbo,
people
but they
put
still call
seafood.
it gumbo.
Yeah, some people put chicken in it, some people put no meat in it,
You have permission
Yes.
to do it however you
It's
want to,
okay to be different,
as long as you're making some money.
yep. Dare to be different. No, so let's as we get ready to start wrapping up, I gotta ask like the technical camera questions and stuff now.
I'm not the one.
No, I mean, with posing, what did it take? When did you like? I guess when did you love? Obviously, we talked about you want to bring out the inner beauty. Your ideal client. The 40-year-old, over 40 women and everything like that. But when did you start bringing together to create the beauty portraits that are known for?
It was honestly, I think it was more in 2020. So it took me a couple years because I
Because
remember I had to move out of the house, and my house downstairs is natural light. All my other work was all natural light, and it was a pandemic, and we opened up, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, the space is open. We want you to be here." And so I had to go there. There was no natural lights. To save my life, a little bit that made my boudoir, and I had to force myself to learn how to use lights. And I
okay,
use one light, so I had to really force myself to use lights. And then it just looked the way that it looked. And since I moved out of that into my studio, I'm like, it's not the same room. It's the walls are a different color. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to learn all over again. It doesn't look the same, because it depends on your lighting. It depends on your walls. It depends on all different factors. And so it was mostly in 2020
okay.
where I had to pivot and I had to really and that's when I started my 40 over 40 campaign. And that's when my work really started to look the way that it looks now.
I think that, and I love that because it's like it's you saw a personal challenge that you had to overcome, and that was like learning light and getting better with that. But then when you start when you start doing that, I see that it trickles into other things or whatever, and now you're leveling up different areas now. But I mean, like I said, because what you do with your posing, what I've seen you do, is like on my best days, like that. Those are my challenges. Was like, okay, I need to be, because I love to challenge myself. It's like, how do I keep up and stay in there. Like that's her wheelhouse. Like put her at a wedding. I'm a smoker, but it's like, all right, if we had to do portrait, if I had to compete and we only got 2 lights and we have a backdrop, okay, this is her wheelhouse. How do I get better at that? And what am I doing right? So I love the puzzle, putting the puzzle together in a way, because again, we talk about, it mentioned earlier, everybody likes gumbo, but they got to make it differently. It's like you give everybody 2 lights, they're going to do things different. Some people are going to say,
Different,
I'm going to do
totally
front,
different.
back. Some people say, I'm going to do, 2 on the side. Some people say, I'm just going to do 1 and then shoot the bottom of the, whatever you name it. Everybody has their own flavor, but with growth and evolution, and as we move forward, what are the what's next for Felicia?
Well, there's a lot of what's next for Felicia. I'm really working on stepping more into my coaching as a leader in that industry, and not just for photographers, because I'm a mindset coach. I've coached people that are not even in our industry. So I'm really leaning into that and creating more content, more like a lot of mindset content. It's anybody can use it, your mama, your sister, it doesn't matter, corporate. So I'm really working on, I put a proposal in today to Expedia,
Ooh, nice.
to the big corporation. I don't know. We'll see, y'all. I'm going to be talking to some of them and doing some leadership coaching, or not coaching, but speaking to them and empowering them in their business. So, I mean, if I could have it my way, I would have my $10,000 clients on the side, do like 5 or 6 of them a month. And then I would want to travel the world and speak on big stages, empowering leaders in this world, empowering more people. Because to me, as one, I feel that what God has given me, my skills and my tools, I need one to many. One
Okay.
at a time is going to take me, I won't even have a lifetime to make that impact. I know in one person's life I can, but to me, I make an impact on a bigger stage in front of many, many people. And I feel that's how how I will impact the world, is one to many.
Nice. I love it, because what's going to happen is we talk about forward thinking. In a few years, you're going to be on that stage talking to me, and I'm gonna be like, man, I remember when she used to do the one-on-ones. Now we can't even pay to get into the conference that she's teaching at now. But
No, I don't know. I don't know. Uh-oh. I'm having a hot flash over here. Y'all just don't understand.
Felicia, thank you so much for your time. I know we have been talking about it for months and months about getting you on here, and you finally got you here. So I'm just super happy and excited that I was able to get you on here today.
And thank you for being persistent. Because he's like,
Yes, I had.
Felicia,
Well,
Felicia,
I was
I'm
thinking,
so
I
getting
was
my
like, I don't want to be pushing down. I was like, you know what? No, this is, I'm 30 plus episodes deep. I need to start. This is a real thing. It's real to me, damn it. Now, that's like, someone said, you think the show's gonna last long? I said, dude, I've been doing it for over a year. I got 30 plus episodes. It feels real, like the energy,
congratulations.
and I said, I'm gonna,
Congratulations.
and I just said, I could either be at the one day or I could be day one. One day, I was like, one day I'm gonna have 100 episodes. I said, let me get day one. And day one, what do we say? Messed up the sound. We did this. We
Yeah,
had a great conversation. People like, I only heard half of it because your mic cut out. And I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. And then it
exactly.
grows
No
from there. And
failure,
then
just feedback. No failure.
exactly. Absolutely. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, this company, hey, we like your show. You need a sponsor? Yeah, I'll take some.
Oh,
What are you
that's
offering? So that's
cool.
how it all started, just handshake deals and just say, hey, look, I don't even, the money that I give for it is going to go back into the show. I care about putting out stuff that I use to people, like everything that I chose to do. I'm being very strategic and intentional. Like, I'm not going to take a sponsor that I don't use. I'm not going to take a sponsor that I'm not familiar with, because I don't, it's not about the money. It's about putting out the stories, the journeys that we've had, because like you said it yourself, we all learn from each other. And to see someone that looks like me, that acts like me, that talks like me, that's kind of gone through a similar journey, it didn't happen overnight. Even though the industry has given off this illusion that we're all overnight successes, even though we've been at it, most of us have been
Yeah,
at it 10 plus years, 20
yeah,
years, etc. So I said, no, the overnight success stories, those are few and far between.
yeah,
Everyone has put in years.
yeah,
It just doesn't seem that way because it's happened so fast. It's
yeah,
like the years have gone by so fast,
yeah.
you know.
And I want you to see, I want to see on this podcast, I need you to bring on more people that wants to talk about money that looks like us, that talks
Absolutely.
about money that's realistic. Because I know that the thing, I think that I don't know why they don't want to talk about money. I don't know. That's a whole money block. But to
I'm
me,
the
we
biggest
need
thing
to
is
see it. We need to see that it's
Mhm.
possible.
Absolutely. I mean, no more gatekeeping, no more like, let's show the way, because like I said, I can't do it forever. And if I can't do it forever, let me pass it all on to somebody else that can do it, and the
That's
next
a
one, and so
scarcity
on.
mindset. If you think that, that someone else is going to take, there is a bazillion people in the whole world. I only
Yeah.
need 72 clients a year, if that, maybe less. You
Like
know
I
what I
said,
mean?
25. All I want is 25 weddings. There's 14,000 in North Texas. That's why, like, I'm not gonna fight. Hey, there's this destination wedding I was trying to get.
What?
Dude, do you
Whatever.
really like traveling? Because it's like, I mean, God, going through TSA, going to get your passport stamp, going through customs, then you going through your gear, then they throw your bag. You're like, dude, that's expensive gear. Can you please stop? You know what? Why do you need this? I'm a photographer. Like, well, this isn't authorized. And you're like, they want to take apart your, the filters on your lenses and everything. They want to look and like, dude, I'm not. I don't have a gun. I can't put a gun in this camera.
You're from
You take the
Texas.
lens.
You got guns.
No, yeah, I mean, true. I'm pretty sure I could take the thing apart and make a gun out of it. But besides the point. It's the
Yeah.
principle. Like, look, I'm not trying to be dangerous here, Or
Yeah.
it's like, why do you have a knife on you? Because I got $10,000 worth of camera gear in my backpack. Since y'all won't let me carry my gun, I gotta have a knife or something to protect myself. You ever shot in Detroit? That shit ain't fun.
Oh
We had the
my
car.
God.
I'm one of the only guys in the photo group that didn't get his stuff robbed because I didn't leave it in the car. I kept my bag on me at all times. And then we went back to that park. Windows are smashed out, and I was like, people are like, dude, all I got is, because I left my bag there. Well, I only needed one lens. I'm like, well, I didn't leave my bag. Yeah. So,
Well, that's a whole nother story.
oh yeah, but
Insurance is another story.
Yes, that's a whole nother conversation. Though that's a whole nother business mindset, kind of like how to navigate your insurance.
Yes.
But again, thank you so much. And yes, I love watching your journey. I can't wait to get back in front of you again at one of your classes and, just again, having those conversations with you. And man, this was awesome. So thank you again.
I'm honored. Thank you. It was an honor to be here.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Welcome to the Shutter Saga Podcast. I'm your host, Marvin Blue. Join me each week as we dive into amazing conversations with some of our industry's top leaders. We will talk about photography, business, and most of all, share the stories that have laid the foundation to our journey in this world we call photography. A couple of ways to support the show is to like, subscribe, and share the show with others. Leave those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you're a fan of seeing us live, we are on YouTube. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Again, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. That's it for this week's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. Leave those reviews and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until then, see you next week.